So, Daktari, 6 years down the line, how has it been for you?
Yeah, it has been a very exciting journey to be the CEO of the Kenya Film Classification Board. When I joined, the board was not as known. People did not understand our mandate. Initially, when we started, because I came here when schools had just closed in November 2015. And there were beer adverts running during the watershed period. And as you know, when schools close, a lot of programs tend to be unsuitable for the youth. And I was concerned. So when I came, I had to deal with that on arrival. And we had to get a court order and stop the beer adverts from running during the watershed period, something that had never happened in this country since independence. We had to stop several adverts, about 15 of them, some of them very expensive adverts that had been and cost the companies a lot of money. And the APRO, I think, twisted the narrative about the role of KFCB. That's when I was nicknamed the moral cop, because I came with a lot of vigor and passion and gusto. And a lot of people misconstrued this to mean, because I came in 2015, there was election in 2017, that I was announcing my presence and trying to do self-promotion to run for governorship of Machakos. There were a lot of things. And I also wanted to have tangible results here, which was to announce, one, that we are very intentional about protecting children from exposure to harmful content. Number two, that films and broadcast media must promote Kenya's culture, values, and national aspiration, and that you cannot thrive in telling only negative stories and sideshows at the expense of development. I was very intentional.
On Sunday, one of the TV stations in Kenya, erroneously, commented on your post, but immediately they pulled it off and apologized, which you graciously agreed and accepted. What was running through your mind through that whole saga?
I told my colleagues when I came here, the first address that I gave to the staff and my colleagues in the management, that I have no reputation to protect, because the work of a regulator is not to be popular. The work of a regulator is to do what is right. But one of the things we must not succumb to, and this is my position, is that we must not yield to the trolls on social media. The bad guys there must be taken head on. So if you take on me, I'll sue you. I will respond to you. I will also tell you that you also need to shape up and mature up. And I will also take action, because I also have a right. Those goons, because some of them are just basically thugs, who are actually, if they had guns, they would do much damage. These guys are even worse than terrorists. The social media bullies, the cyber bullies. It's only that the only power they have is to be nasty and to insult. Social media in this country reflects the worst of our spirits, because those are people hiding behind anonymity to say things they cannot say to your face. It is bad. That's why I'm saying these are terrorists.
How do you say sane yourself?
These are thugs.
From people like this?
No. I mean, of course, my case is different. If you rise to a public office, you must be ready. You must have a thick skin. And I did not come to the public office through KFCB. And I did not come from the streets. I'm hardened, I'm educated. So I also know you don't define me by social media. Yeah. No. I'm not defined by likes and shares. It is actually a weakness of the spirit for you to be deriving your pleasure from likes and no. I'm bigger than that. And we should be bigger than that. And so my worry is, we have done very well in building the physical infrastructure, but the software is broken. Those are the people. That is the soul of our nation, that has no respect for women, thinks women are objects of sex, that has no respect for authority, that if you're a government official, you can be trolled and called names and abused, that we cannot discuss issues. We've got to personalize and body shame and troll people and hurt people, and somebody seated somewhere behind anonymity takes pleasure in saying all manner of nasty things about the leaders of this country, about the parents, about the religious leaders, and about everybody, because they cannot be held accountable. Now, that pains me.
Daktari, the last few days we have seen the conversation that has been shaping up about radio content, TV content, online content, and more specifically to Homeboyz Radio and what happened. Where do you think the rain started beating us?
For too long, we didn't have this freedom. There was even no internet in Kenya, and there was even political conversations around curtailing and preventing the penetration of the internet. Those are conversations that I was involved in when I was Secretary General of KUJ. However, when we liberalized the media and they opened up the spectrum, and now leading up to 2015, when we moved from analog to digital, we moved to a new space. It looked like when you liberalize, in other words, when we provided the liberalization of the industry and opened up the space for new radio stations, new TV stations, opened up vernacular stations, and then now moved in 2015 to opening up the spectrum to have more internet penetration and more mobile telephony everywhere. Rather than utilize that technology, the new technologies and the internet to do good, we turned it to do evil. And there's more damage on the social media that is not recorded or documented, and we may never get to know how many children, how many youths committed suicide because they were trolled and they were cyberbullied. In Kenya, we also have a tendency, Bwana Mutwiri, to liberalize without a framework and then doing catch-up with the law.
Yes.
Even now, when you look at it, we are trying to do a law on cyberbullying, on pornography, on misuse of telecommunication gadgets. But we liberalize fast. That's why now when we were arresting Eric Omondi, it was sounding like, it was an overreach. An overreach because the people are, I'm posting on my Facebook, on my Instagram. What's the problem? Why you don't have to watch it? Children don't have to watch it. That's the argument. But I always say, these platforms are not free. These are ICT infrastructure that should be governed by law and should be regulated. When, like now in that program, where people can discuss a woman, degrade a woman, and justify, misogyny and the mistreatment of women, dehumanizing women, and degrading women, and justify it, and make it so casual, trivialize a topic that is so sensitive, where a sister, somebody's wife, somebody's sister, somebody's mother is crippled, and then you can discuss it so casually. I'm very happy that Homeboyz Radio took action, and CF followed with very hefty penalties. But I think it is a national conversation that we need to create.
Do you think it was too harsh, though?
We might have gone to the extreme, but we want to send a message. In my view, it is first in the law, in line with the law. What CA did is what is in the law. The programming code is clear to all of them. And when the challenge that we are being is having people who are not trained journalists running some of these programs. We have for far too long allowed the radio to be the theater of the absurd, where people with no background in journalism, comedians, charlatans, to say the least. And I say this with tremendous respect because there is no other profession where you get quacks to come and call the show just because they have likes and you call them influencers on social media. This is not a sector for influencers. Influencers can influence in social functions, but national frequencies cannot be given to thugs because this is what they are, for lack of a better word. These are just thugs collected because they have influence. They have more likes. And they come and parade those likes just to promote the programs, but promote them discussing sex. If you removed sex and women and relationship, these guys are empty. They know nothing else. Is this the best of our society? Radio and media is supposed to be held by people who are responsible, who are professional, who can think about the best of the country, discuss issues and real people. Not sex from morning to evening, and in the most bizarre manner.
Do you think our society is somehow is a reflection of what our society wants?
That's one way of looking at it. But I'm a journalist by training, and a top-notch one at that. I think my credentials speak for themselves. Having practiced with the nation for 9 years, I was Secretary General of KUJ, I was Director of Information, and my master's and PhD are in this field. So I think I have something to give. Listen, the media from the days of yore was supposed to set the agenda for society, not the other way around. So when you say, but they are the product of the society, it's just one way of looking at it. But the real way of looking at it is having media people who are so professional, who understand the code of ethics and follow it, and who want to change society. Media and journalists are supposed to be agents of change, not purveyors and conveyor belts of all manner of filth. You see, in my offices, we are always on CNN because you are not likely to veer into something unpalatable. They have their standards.
Doctor, you don't consume local content?
Not because I don't want. I will go on for news. Why not we emulate them in the things that matter, because they are the best of the media? So I think we need to withdraw the microphones from those goons and send them to school. So there's a sense in which we need to balance between that art, the talent, and some ethos and values.
Finally, with what you've been having, the conversation that you've brought into the country, and the inspiration that you have inspired the country, are we going to see a politician in the near future?
I believe, first of all, you do not have to be in a political office to make change, to bring change, to have influence. By God's grace, I have had a lot of influence throughout my life, like I've told you. However, in the Kenyan situation, I think after this, I probably would like to inform policy and touch people in a different way and play in different circles where I can also implement some of the decisions. And I think probably you're looking at the next governor of Machakos County or something. I don't know, but we leave it to God. Right now, I'm the CEO of the Kenya Film Classification Board. I think I'm doing a good job, of it.
Absolutely.
And SCAC, which evaluates state corporation CEOs, has rated me excellent for almost 5 years.
Dr. Ezekiel Mutua, thank you so very much for your time. We appreciate it.